You're listening to Safety Corner, powered by TCL and S1. For workers, by workers. Online and in-person health and safety programs and training available in 10 plus languages. Reach out to them at www.mys1.ca and DM them at my_S1 for more information.
Manny, bon dia.
Bon dia. What's going on, Phil?
Another day, another exciting podcast.
Now we start steamrolling and letting everybody know Safety Corner is coming hard. We got a lot to talk about.
We do have lots to talk about.
But we got a guest today.
We do have a guest today, and we're going to introduce our guest. Our guest, his name is Tim Cole. He's a health and safety professional. And Tim, thanks for coming in.
Bon dia, gentlemen. Bon dia.
Thank you very much for coming in.
Not bad for a munja cake, but I'm doing okay.
You're Portuguese, man. Your Portuguese is getting better.
You're on my level.
A little bit of construction.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, Portuguese may become the next official language over here.
English, Portuguese, French.
Okay. Just a mix.
All right.
So, Tim, thanks for coming in today.
Thanks for the invite. It's awesome.
Tell us a bit about yourself, what you do, what's going on, what's happening.
Well, shameless self-promotion, I am that safety guy. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. And
Under that safety guy.
yeah, for Instagram, TikTok is just that safety guy, and YouTube is that safety guy 6'8".
6'8" on YouTube.
These all started by accident. Were kind of cathartic because when I first got into safety, 2013. That was gun and badge. Your ex-ministry, you understand gun and badge.
I do.
Like I'd rattle guys' cages for no safety glasses and just go off the top, and that didn't get me anywhere. And then I started, and then I got complacent. Guys, you know what? You want to do something dumb? You want to get hurt? Go ahead. Not my problem. And then I got to where I am now. I've grown since 2013. But the crux of it, the point behind these, what started with the videos was I should videotape myself before I go off on somebody.
To see the calm before the storm?
Let's just teach myself how to communicate better.
Yeah.
So I'd go on these rants, and if you go back to like 2019 on YouTube, you can see the progression. But I'd go off and I'd watch myself and go, okay, I can't say that. So I need to approach it a different way.
You're policing yourself?
Well, I was
Constructive criticism. It's like looking in the mirror.
Yeah, I was trying. I was literally trying to be an educator.
Yeah, and
right?
listen,
and it just kind of went from there.
I've been following you a long time on Instagram, and I like what you say and I like what you do. And the reality is a lot of safety professionals in this business, we have a lot of the similar goals. And Tim can go into some of the detail of his work experience and stuff, but we have a lot of the similar goals. We have ways that we want to achieve them, and everyone has their own flavor and their own style. And that's what it really comes down to being a safety professional is, it's personality, it's communication, it's knowledge, it's your ability to get people on board with what you're trying to accomplish and what your goals are and what you're trying to sell.
Yeah,
really.
Exactly. Yeah.
Does it really seem simple to you guys and very complicated to everybody else?
Safety in general?
Yeah.
Listen, I think learning all about the rules is probably the easiest part. Okay.
Applying them,
right? And communication, like getting people on board. You're trying to convince people that, this way is the safest way or the better way, right?
Has safety made you guys a better communicator?
Tim, I'll let you.
Construction-wise, I'm always talking about...
Construction-wise, so we talked about this before we got on here. I'm former military.
Yeah.
Right? And I was a trainer in the military as well. Sure. Part of my... you have to train your subordinates. Yeah. So I kind of learned that craft that way. But, since 2013, I've definitely been able to... I've improved my ability to communicate, and that's just it. If they don't understand what you're saying, because there's some safety people out there, they've got, they went to George Brown, or they've got a formal education in health and safety.
Not knocking it. I'm just saying.
Exactly, but they approach it differently.
Yes.
Right? And they use the big $10 words. But if you're talking to a roofer from, say, Ecuador, you're talking to, João or
Manuel Pacheco Melo, that guy.
But you have to be able to speak in crayon. Yes. And to speak in crayon is not an insult. It's bring it down to the worker's level.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I was on the tools for so long before I got into safety, I've got that experience, right? So when I tell guys, if I do orientation, this might come back to bite me, but I'm a lazy safety guy. I don't like doing paperwork. Don't do dumb shit. I don't got to do paperwork.
Yeah, hey, no, that math adds up,
right?
Right.
And because I've got experience, I'm a tower crane operator. I'm a heavy equipment operator. I'm a carpenter. I'm a cabinet maker. I'm an electrician, second year, third year plumber.
Holy shit!
Right? I've got it right.
So where do you have all this time, Tim?
Yeah.
Holy, this guy.
Thank you again for coming in.
I don't do it now. Now safety is my full thing. But because of that experience and being on the tools and high rise in Toronto,
Well-rounded amount of experience.
I can do this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I know why they're trying to take that shortcut, so I can approach it now differently. To say, why are you standing on the mid rail of that elevator work platform? Why?
Because he can't reach.
Because he's at the truss, but he's got to get to the sky deck.
Yeah.
Listen,
How can we do that safely?
Tim, you hit the nail on the head, man. And when it comes down to safety professional, well-rounded safety professionals, people with experience is vital and key. It's nothing worse than having to explain something to a safety professional and they have no understanding of what the scope of the work is, and you're trying to explain how to do it, and they don't understand, and all they understand is the regulations. And it's like, well, you can't do that. Well, explain to me how I'm going to do it. Oh, I don't know. It's you have to kind of be into it, man. You got to eat it and breathe it, right?
I mean, do you know why there's toolbox talks? Because I'm an idiot worker. The green book is so thick because of me, personally. There's nothing I haven't tried, done, or gotten hurt with. Got myself hurt with. Been hurt by because I was a horrible worker. I took shortcuts.
Did you ever get charged?
Nope, but I have told the Ministry of Labor to screw off. I've told, not so, maybe more colorful, I told safety guys to go fucking bite me.
Oh, you're that guy.
I was that guy. And now I'm the safety guy. And I get told that all the time. Right? So, but I have that
guy's made you a better safety guy.
It's made me a better safety guy. Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Right? And your experience is what kind of shapes you in this industry. And if you've been in this industry long enough, there's a difference between being fresh, coming out of school, or I just became a safety person, yay, and versus I've been doing this for a lot of years, and Tim obviously with military background and training background and apparently all these other certifications that he has.
Built a city.
Holy cow, this is the one-man show over here. But yeah, man, so yeah, it's good, and I'm glad you're here and talking about your challenges and your experiences and stuff like that, because it's good for everybody to see the different types of people that are out there protecting, right? So tell us a bit about some of the projects you work on and what's your role there.
Well, generally speaking, I mean, so I work for a consulting company.
Say their name. Come on, Tim. Say the name.
You were asked
I
not
like
to,
those
or?
guys.
No, I wasn't advised not to. I'm trying to keep this as that
Then
safety
leave it.
guy's
Don't worry.
opinion,
Don't worry about that.
right?
Leave
Because
it.
that way it doesn't affect the guy who pays my paycheck. He's a hell of a guy.
If you want to reach out
great
to Tim
guy.
and talk to him and have a conversation with him,
It's right there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then you can reach out to him, and then he can let you know who the company is or whatever.
I mean,
right?
it's a great company. It is
I think
absolutely
so.
a great company. This is my 10th year.
Me and Manny were talking about it, and it's the only company that I would recommend other than mine.
Well,
obviously.
it's because of that company that you and I met. Because
is.
I taught one of your clients first aid.
He came in to do training, confined space training for one of my clients, maybe about 4 years ago or something.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that?
It was before the stupid times, yeah.
You were on loaner. You were a mercenary that day.
Yeah, it was.
Whoever paid the highest, that's where he was going.
So you don't need to say it, but if you heard the previous show, then you'll know exactly who we're talking about.
Well,
Simple as
exactly.
that.
But-
yeah.
And technically, we get around the fact that you don't want to say it, which is fine.
Exactly. So what do I do every day?
We still like you, Kevin.
Generally speaking, right, I'll get a route. I'll get like 15 clients I got to hit in a week.
Yeah.
And that could be anywhere from, because I live in Toronto, so I get from, say, Oakville to Whitby.
Okay.
Right. I've gone up to Ottawa. We have a part of who I work for. We have an office in Ottawa as well. So I go up there and help fill in there
some
once in a while.
traveling and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I'll hit a couple low rises. I'll hit a couple high rises. We're either dealing with we're there for the constructor, or we're there for the employer.
Sure.
Generally speaking, we're there for the constructor. With the company I work for, we also get into large breweries. We've been there
That's a
for
nice client.
11 years.
How's the Christmas gifts on that one?
What I don't know.
Did you get a case or two?
It's all chocolates. It's got nothing to do with alcohol.
No, exactly. Right now I'm in a cookie factory where they make natural granola.
That's where they give the beer.
That's where they get the beer. Well, they gave us, so the owner of the company came in yesterday, and they're very impressed with the fact that we're doing it as safe as we are. and that's a whole other story. And that we're on track. It's got a really tight time constraints for this project.
A construction project on time?
No, this one is crazy tight, like nuts tight, and and they keep throwing curveballs at us. So yesterday we had our Christmas site lunch. And of course, we had the Portuguese chicken and the balls and all that stuff.
What else would you be eating at a Christmas?
Exactly.
Lunch?
I wanted bus up shot.
The best.
I wanted bus
with
up
those
shot.
little round potatoes.
I even brought some home. But anyway, so the owner of the company says, I want to give the whole team something, like all the workers. So we think, we're gonna get a bag of granola or whatever. He brought out like 5 pallets. Everybody gets a box each, like a box, like 10 each. And I think today or Monday before Christmas break, he's bringing us all the sweet stuff. So that's the appreciation part.
That's nice.
It's nice.
But
that's for sure.
Yeah. So back to what do I do? I work for a microtunneling firm. I've done wind tower. I did a wind farm in Grand Bend.
Holy shit. That must be exciting.
That was cool. 190 or 95 meter towers.
I think that's one of the pros of this job too, man. You get to go into so many different types of construction projects, from tunnels to high rises to low rise to
Shopify.
What about Shopify?
Event safety. We did event safety.
Oh, that's pretty interesting.
We did the setup for Shopify.
Wow.
Get behind Oz's curtain. I actually called out the owner of Shopify for riding an electric skateboard through a crowded venue. I didn't know who he was, because you know who I am. I said, do you know who I am? Well, I'm so-and-so. I go, you hired me to make sure that you don't go to jail for this event.
So you did that right in front of you?
He didn't. He had no idea who I was.
What's the problem riding a skateboard?
In a crowded venue, like 1,500 people.
Little man.
Right. So I was very polite. We had a conversation. I said, you really shouldn't do that.
Did you videotape yourself before you started speaking?
No, I couldn't do that one either, because it would have just shot everything out of the water. But everybody's equal, right?
Listen, the rules apply for everybody, whether you're top or the bottom.
You got to lead from the top.
Yeah, you have to, man. You have to. So we have a nice little video here. This is one of your most recent posts, workplace incidents. But if you check Tim out on Instagram, that.safety.guy, there's a whole bunch of little videos here of challenges that Tim faces and how he's addressing them and stuff like that. And I can relate with a lot of these videos, man. I've been in that position, as a safety professional, discussing and listening and trying to solve problems and dealing with these challenges, and some of these things are frustrating, man, because you try to tell people, you're like, hey, that's not right, man. And everyone can see that it's not right.
You know it's not right.
You don't even need to be a rocket scientist to figure this one out, man. And we're going to go into some of these pictures that Tim set up here.
So these are videos, Tim, that you just share as your day is progressing. You're going to different...
Or something happens, and I'm just like, I got to get that out there.
Something tugged on his beard. Got him a little riled up.
Get it out of my head so I can sleep at night, yeah.
You can find Tim at Yorkdale Mall. There's a Yorkdale Mall Santa Claus this next week.
Wait, Santa wearing a hard hat?
Yeah,
probably.
The biker elf.
No, man.
The biker elf.
I don't know how you do it, man. I honestly, mine gets a little long and it drives me nuts. I gotta cut it and stuff.
You see me when on my boat, it's going like one of these.
It just folded back.
It's like a dog looking out the window.
I gotta braid that thing, man. All right, so what do we got? What are we looking here? So I guess, Tim, explain to us these little points here that we were talking about here.
Okay, so
that first one especially.
Okay, so last minute-itis, right? And only going to be a minute are phrases that I've coined in my own little lexicon. Workers get hurt because of last minute-itis, right?
Yeah.
I got to go get that hammer off the edge of the 30th floor. I'm only going to be a minute or last minute-itis, right? And they fall. They get impaled or they die, right? Taking that shortcut, right? Only going to be a minute. The other one, I don't need to tie off. Yeah, sure, I'm 500 feet in the air. I don't need to. I'm only going to be a minute. Yeah. Next thing you know, we're doing an investigation. It's on the news.
I had $1 for that one,
right? And then looking at safety, costing versus investing in safety. I had a conversation with another one of my mentors this morning, and we kind of hashed this one out a little bit. But it's not the physical cost. Like sometimes it's the money part, but it's when the ministry recommended that in elevator work platforms they use a non-shock absorbing adjustable lanyard, right? That's a cost.
Sure.
Right? They're not requiring, they're recommending. But a lot of people are going to go, what's wrong with my SRL? Which my self-retracting lanyard. What's wrong with this doubled up shock absorbing lanyard?
Yeah, no,
Right?
safety is definitely fluid, and new challenges end up giving new solutions, right? And construction is always it's variables, man. All kinds of variables and different ways to do the same job, right? And even with a different task that we implement or that are being implemented on the project, you got to take a look at it, understand the scope of the work, and come up with solutions, man, on how to do this. Like, we're going to set up a scaffold on the side of a 4-story building. Okay, what do the regulations say about setting up a scaffold? What are the requirements for a scaffold? And here's the trickiest one. While I'm building a scaffold, what do I tie off to?
That's the classic go-to question.
Well, no, I've come up with a solution for that, all right? But there are solutions, but it takes time to implement those solutions. It also takes money to implement. You got to buy some extra lifelines.
Yeah, but here's a question for you guys.
Here we go.
Obviously, with
Here we go,
new
Mr.
construction,
Supervisor.
new construction techniques.
Tell us.
At what point does safety become a conversation beyond the idea of creativity and construction? So it's like, let's say you're building a dwelling or some sort of tower or some sort of fixture, and it's not your standard go-to scaffold apparatus or what have you. You need something specialized.
Sure.
To be safe in there.
Yeah.
Do the architects and the engineers and the designers start talking about safety and how this is going to get done at the beginning, or do they wait for the constructor and the builder to actually start bringing
That's
that
a
up?
whole other ball of wax, too, right?
I don't, to be honest with you, I don't know if the architects and when they design these things, because some of these high-rise buildings, Tim, and you can attest to it, it's like, holy cow, what was this architect smoking when he designed this?
I'm going like, let's go back with the channel.
Mm-hmm.
And they probably implemented all kinds of new safety ideas building that thing, right?
Well, see, and that's the thing, though. The engineer, the designer, the architect, the owner of the project, I'm going to go out on a limb, and probably they don't really think about the safety of how we're going to get this thing built.
How is a guy going to get in this tight little corner?
I'm pretty confident they don't have that conversation.
It's possible that they do, though,
Well, here's a smaller example. You got your stick framing. You've got a grand foyer. Mm-hmm. That's 2-3 stories tall, and you've got off that like a winding staircase that goes up to the second floor.
Sure.
Right here on the third floor is a chandelier.
How's the electrician going to get in there?
Let alone how is the homeowner going to change the light bulb? How's the electrician going to put the box in the ceiling?
Yeah.
Scaffold.
Potentially, or chances are it's going to be a 20-foot extension ladder, a 2x10, and if he's lucky, some rope.
I saw that video on Instagram the other day.
Right. So
It's going to be a makeshift monkey scaffold.
well, but to the point though, the architect probably didn't think of, and I actually have a rant on that.
They probably didn't care.
No, exactly. They want it to look this way,
Yes.
for a reason.
Let them figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. So to your point,
But see, in those tough times, with those tough decisions or that scenario, that's where an employer is really tested. Because you're either going to spend a little money to build a scaffold, right, and take the time, or either you're going to spend some money and get an elevated work platform and take the time, or you're going to set up some ladders and some planks and do some
is
makeshift.
it going to cost you, or are you going to invest?
Right?
Here's a question for you that it just came into my mind.
Sure.
In a scaffold, does a worker have to be tied off?
When you're building it,
Worker is exposed to a fall. In this case,
There's guardrails and everything around the scaffold.
if a worker is exposed to a fall, then that worker is required to be protected from falling.
So it has to be tied off in a scaffold application.
If there are no guardrails, then yes.
If there's no guardrails.
But keep in mind, what are you tied off to while you're installing guardrails?
So no, let's get to the, I'm comparing to elevated lift and scaffold.
Yeah.
Are they required to both have tied off harnesses?
so elevated work platforms, you need to be protected from ejection while it's in motion.
While it's in motion.
While it's in
If
motion.
it's in fixed position.
You're not required to
and
be
you're
tied off.
raised and there's guardrails. You just can't step on the guardrail.
No,
to
once
do
you
that
step above
extension.
the guardrail system, then the
But you don't
guardrails are
require
ineffective.
a harness tied off.
What the regulation says is that you're only required to be protected or tied off in an elevated work platform when it's in motion.
When it's in motion.
Yeah.
And that's where we get policy from the builder or the constructor, 100% tie off 100% of the time.
Yeah. So they're going above and beyond. So some builders
But
will be
according
like,
to the law,
it's only when it's in motion.
Right.
okay, all right. Just curious.
Yeah. So
Same thing with the cherry picker?
Yep. Yep.
Only when it's in motion.
Only when it's in motion.
When you're driving it.
Yeah.
But if you're working from it,
Well,
as long as you're in the
motion
bucket.
can be vertical too.
What's the
that's right. Any motion at all.
yeah? What's the boss say? 50 Shades of Safety.
50
Yeah,
Shades of Safety.
There's a lot of various degrees here. But no,
That conjures
listen.
up all kinds of rope and shit like that.
Oh, here we go. Here, aisle 13 at Home Depot. Oh, for all you kinky people out there, man. All right, let's jump into some of these.
Safety guy here.
Well, that's loud.
Today is incident and accident reporting. Why do you got to do it?
Yeah, that's a good question. And you can watch the rest of that on Instagram.
On Instagram and YouTube. Yep. And TikTok.
Oh, so here you go. Here's some examples of some great
this is-
scaffolding.
Yeah, right. This is cost versus investment. They could have invested time.
Oh, those are just engineered joists
Yeah, that's just
What are you talking about?
on the weakest point. The one on the right there.
Yeah.
That's an engineered joist
Okay.
on its weakest point, laying flat.
Yes.
yes, right. I guarantee no engineer signed off on that.
No, of course not.
No.
Right. And
But-
then this one here. These are anchor straps
To the scaffold platform,
that they were flying it with anchor straps, not slings.
to, as far as I know, 1/2 inch ply. It's 1/2 inch ply. It's not
No,
3/4
that's,
ply.
three-quarter
Is that
form
3/4
ply.
ply?
Let's talk about this first one
Yeah,
for
yeah,
a
yeah.
second. So this is always challenging, and this is the challenge. The employer sends the workers to go do the job, and with their standard equipment, ladders and whatever, and they look at this and like, holy shit, we don't have the tools to do this. How are we going to do this? So
Oh shit! I just saw that ladder in the back.
yeah, there's some Mickey Mouse shit going on here, man. That's ugly. But that being said, I understand it. I understand why they do it.
I don't.
Because they got to get the job done, Manny. Right? And this is where it comes the pressure and organizing and planning a
I'm
job
gonna lose
site
my
safely.
job. I'm gonna get fired if I don't do this. Get it done today.
Of course. What do you think's
I'm
gonna
coming there
happen,
tomorrow to
man?
see the
This-
finished work, not the
call-
progress work.
I call this on-site engineering. That's what I call it. Where you got whatever
I've
you
never
got.
seen that stamp.
No, there's no stamps.
But they always come back to, well, the constructor's supposed to give me this. No, they're not. Nowhere in the law does it say the constructor shall.
No,
the
but-
employer
Listen,
Right?
you know,
makes it challenging.
it is definitely challenging. But again, guys, don't forget, you got to be in the position of the worker when you're looking at this. You know, the supervisor, that's a different position. The supervisor knew what was going on. They know what tools and equipment they have. They should have planned this thing better, etc.
Yeah.
But on the worker end, you're like, fuck, I only got these tools. I only got this equipment. My boss is telling me to go up there. If I say no, am I going to have this job next week? Right? And there's a whole section in the act that deals with reprisal. You can't get fired for voicing safety concerns. But there's a loophole to that. It's called seasonal layoffs or shortage of work. And you're done. So, you know, I
So
understand
it's the
this.
fear of termination.
Isn't there always a fear of termination when you don't do what you're told?
I mean, this got resolved with a conversation.
Which is good.
And what was the resolution?
We got them to move the scaffolding over, get another couple sections. The in this case, the constructor helped out, stepped up, gave another couple sections of scaffolding. We did a toolbox talk on erecting a scaffold, but we educated the workers, and the workers got it done safely.
Which is the goal.
100%.
Right? But
Yeah.
this is an example of improper planning, not enough equipment, not enough thought process going into it and stuff like that. That's an example of.
I'm in a hurry. Last minute itis.
Yeah.
That's dangerous, man.
It's crazy.
Well, listen, it's not the worst I've seen.
No, I can
It's not the-
imagine. No,
and
okay.
and don't get me wrong, you know, as an inspector too, you can, well, let me see the engineer drawing for this, and there's not going to be engineered drawings for it. And the reality is that a lot of this on-site engineering happens too. And here, let me burst some more bubbles. You look at guardrails on the second floor. The carpenters are building guardrails.
Yeah. Staircase, so you're talking about, okay.
Guardrails around the second floor.
Yeah.
Okay, because they're still building up high. So you go look at these guardrail systems. How would you attach a guardrail system?
You guys-
Nails or screws?
Screws. I know, but screws have a shear force.
Okay.
I know.
It's supposed
But
to be
I told you the common
the
answer.
The engineering drawing will say screws. But that being said, you look at these guardrail systems. There's guardrail systems. I would not even tie my dog to them. I go up to them and I touch them like this, and they wobble. They got about a foot wobble.
The hockey stick's all messed
What did
up.
they
my
use to
God.
secure them? Nails?
Of course, one nail, two nails.
Finishing nails?
Sometimes it's good from far and far from good. Right?
That's the challenge, right?
You know, it looks like guardrail. All these guys have nice guardrails, and you get closer and you see one nail holding up the
That's
2x4.
full this. I'm looking. No.
Yeah, no. You there's no chance that guardrail is going to withstand the required weight that it's supposed to withstand.
You know, the one that I do disagree with regarding guardrail, and I get it, but I disagree with it.
Which one?
The bottom rail.
Why?
Oh, the toe kick. Yeah.
Why do you disagree with that?
I get it because you could drop something and it can roll off and
You
then
can kick it out.
Kick it
Slide
out,
underneath
right?
it.
I disagree with it because it's always in the way of progressing work. So you always removing it
Yeah,
to get
I
work
get it.
done.
I've heard
That's
that.
the reason why I disagree with
I've-
it. You don't always have to remove the middle or the top.
Yeah, but see, that application that we're talking about is in low-rise construction, right?
Yeah.
Because when you get into high-rise, you got manufactured guardrail systems and engineered
Yeah,
guardrail
that's
systems,
different.
and they
Yeah.
right. So different guardrail
And
systems.
they have the
and-
toe kick one too?
Yeah, it's the bottom. Yeah,
it's the bottom of it. Yeah.
There's a thing there, right? There's
Yeah.
the blocking there. But yeah, you're right, man. You know, and low-rise, and this is why low-rise, I think, is a bit of the wild, wild west too, right? Because, you know, you try to do stuff, but stuff happens, it doesn't happen.
You're in the middle of a farm field somewhere.
Man.
Yeah.
Right? So
That's just my 2 cents. I don't like. I
Yeah, no, man,
disagree
for
with
sure.
it 95% of the time.
All right, what nonsense do we got here, Tim? Break this down.
What is
man.
that?
That's the new chin straps for the hard hats.
Chin strap. That was a guy's hard hat. Didn't think he thought he'd get away with it.
Is that a bedpan?
Oh no, it's a hard hat missing all the guts from the inside. And he figured
And
I wouldn't
he's wearing
notice it.
that.
He's wearing it over top of.
So what is it, like right over his
Well, no,
eyes?
he had a hoodie on, a hoodie and a ball cap.
Oh, and he got busted.
How'd you find that, Tim? Did you ask the guy to take off his hard hat?
Yeah, I'm going. It looks a little bit loose. So let me. You know, I was going to educate him on how to adjust his hard hat properly to fit it. And he takes it off and went, "What the hell?"
Surprise,
Where are the
surprise.
guts?
Dude, where? Some guy brought a liner from a Kevlar helmet, a military issue Kevlar brought the liner for his hard hat. Oh, I got this in Colombia. Perfect. So Colombian, standard for safety is going to be fantastic in
I want
Canada.
a Kevlar hard hat.
Well, no, it wasn't a Kev. It was just a liner.
liner.
It was just a liner.
I want a Kevlar
Right.
suit and a vest, too.
So
While I'm
yeah.
at it.
So
Yeah.
that was fun. That was that
Have
was
you
a good-
found any, like, the best one I think I found with hard hats is, like, the ones with a couple holes drilled in on the
I
side?
sent you that picture, didn't I?
For what
With
reason?
Ventilation.
Manny, come on. Well, you don't
The-
have holes in your hard hat?
They've got.
They don't have holes in the hard hat
What was
because
it? Milwaukee came out with one with a fan, right?
Yeah.
No, that was the Temu version. I posted one of the
No,
Temu version.
yeah.
It had solar panels on the front and a fan, and it's designed to keep you cool.
I had a guy actually build one.
Oh, wow.
Drilled through his hard hat, put a Milwaukee, the little battery, and a fan. I'm going, that's genius, but
On-site engineering,
on-site
man.
engineering.
If he got struck with something,
It would disintegrate.
it's on-site operation.
Yeah. Right. And the ministry looks at it. Did you modify that hard hat? Well, yeah. Okay.
Now it
How do you
defeats the
plead?
purpose, yeah.
How do you
What do
plead?
you mean? That's like the N95 mask with the hole cut out so you can put my cigarette in.
I've never done that.
Holy cow.
I did that on P100.
How are you supposed to smoke with a mask on, Manny? Like, come on, man. Ridiculous.
This one was crazy. This was it's a cat excavator. If you notice the pin that's holding this, to the arm, those are 12-inch survey spikes.
Really?
Some of these things just don't belong here.
There's quite a eclectic group of talented engineers on these construction sites.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's definitely some shenanigans there, man.
I rolled onto this site, saw this. I shut this one down, and maybe 20 minutes after I talked to the constructor about this one, our friend from the Ministry of Labor showed up.
Friends?
Everybody, I'm thinking most people know this guy. He's not there anymore.
Don't say any names on the show.
No. But so he rolls on and he gets really hot. So we've dealt with it. It's been tagged out. We're not using it till it gets fixed. Okay.
But one thing's for sure, not every safety professional would catch that.
It'd be hard to catch that.
Yeah. Well,
If it's
You
in
have to-
motion,
if the machine's moving around,
you
it's-
wouldn't think to catch that. Look for that.
Listen, and again, that's the tricky part about being a safety professional. You got to kind of understand a lot of these components and how the functions and how the machinery
Their thought
equipment is.
what
process.
drew my attention was the bend.
That is warped.
That's what drew me to the piece of equipment that made me take a look. I mean, the front windshield was shattered. There was coffee cups and apple juice bottles all over the cab.
Yeah, apple juice bottles.
Gatorade?
Wink, wink.
Apple juice.
Don't drink the apple juice on the job site, boys and girls. All right, what next shenanigans we have here?
Fall protection. So
The pendulum effect.
he's tied off, absolutely, except the anchor point is way on the other side. So when he does fall, if he does fall, he's going to just follow the dotted line and on the ground you go.
Pretty much.
Tout fini.
Well, he's going to take the ladder out with him.
Yeah.
So and this is common, man. This is common in terms of, A for effort because you tied off, but you didn't do the right calculations because if you were to fall, you'd still hit the ground.
It's a B minus.
What's he
That's a hard
building? What
fail.
is that the bricklayer? What's going on
No,
there?
it's a carpenter
the
doing.
carpenters.
He's just doing that part of the roof.
Oh, he's just
Overhang.
doing a little
Yeah,
overhang.
Yeah, just a little
Okay, I
overhang.
got it. All right.
Right? So what would be the solution in this case? The solution in this case, Tim?
The other window.
You can go with that other window, right? He could have used a boom lift. Could have used a boom lift,
Yeah,
right?
that one's a little trickier.
I mean, because of that styrofoam, right? There's definitely anchor points on the other side of that styrofoam,
Yeah.
right? That he could have repaired.
True.
Once he was done with.
So basically the solution is position your anchor in a
Reposition
way
properly.
that based on where you're working, if you were to fall,
you don't hit the ground.
You
I'd rather
don't
you
hit the
dangle than hit the ground.
What's the time limit on dangling in a harness?
You have 15 minutes to enact your safety plan. 17 minutes, and you start getting into suspension trauma.
yeah, and keep in mind those numbers
15, 17, based on weight.
based on weight, based on
Health.
how the harness was put on. There's a couple variable
15,
factors
17,
there.
huh?
Yeah.
But
On
yeah,
average.
On average.
Could be a little bit
could be a little bit less, could be a little bit more.
As far as I know, you can quote. Don't quote me on this. 15 minutes to enact the rescue plan, because he's got 17 minutes before he could start going into shock because of suspension trauma.
Because he's constricting his vital arteries.
No, he's not. Well, yeah, because of
comes
the
the
femoral.
medic.
Yeah, the femoral
Give it to
artery,
us.
right?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
All the blood is pooling in your
That's
lower
right.
or lower extremities, so it's pumping half the volume. Right, so that's where you start getting dizzy and stuff. That's why we have those suspension straps
Mm-hmm.
that you can tie them up and you can actually start standing up and down, because the way the body works, it's a combination of the musculature, the way it works. It's actually pushing blood through the system as well as the heart. So by constricting and your muscles,
Is it fatal
what
after if you constrict it so much?
you could hypovolemic shock. No, not hypovolemic shock. That's rapid loss of blood.
You're restricting the blood flow back to the
But
heart.
they used to say, if you're in suspension trauma, to get them up against a wall, like lean them up with their knees to their chest. Or if they're unconscious, get them on the ground in a recovery position, knees to chest, and slowly open their legs up, right? Because that way, all the deoxygenated blood doesn't rush to the system and overpower. They've now changed that through first aid, that the faster you get that blood flowing purposely, the better off the casualty is, and their chance of recovery is that much more. Wow.
It's greater. It's a
better.
greater chance of
It's better, and so you have to be on standby to make sure they don't go into shock, and if you do, how are we going to deal with that part of it? And they may stop breathing, so CPR, right? But it's better to do CPR, right, and get that blood flowing faster at the proper volume, than right. So there's certain risks.
Yeah.
But if they fall, you're calling 911. That's simple as that. So EMS is on its way.
If we go based on any like the videos we post on Instagram and stuff when guys are hanging off the side of buildings and stuff, the recovery for this is either you pull the guy back up or you rescue him from the bottom, right? There's only a couple options here.
But you got basically 10 or so minutes.
You got 17 minutes before it starts getting problematic.
Again, depends on variables, right? But yeah, you don't want to be hanging for too long.
Nope.
Nope. There's a reason you're hanging too.
I mean, imagine falling off a 95-meter wind turbine.
Yeah, like that video I posted the other day did you see that one with the guy on the wind turbine? He's all the way at the top and it's a hell of a view from the top. And a double lanyard system, the guy's fully tied off. And again, I'm guessing in those situations you would use travel restraint and not fall arrest because you don't want to be there hanging beside moving blades or whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the blades are locked in place when that's
there you
happening.
go.
But
Yeah, that would make
but
more
it's
sense.
the recovery. How do you get them?
How do you get them?
Well, you use a
gotta-
tactile.
You got to pull his ass up, man.
But there's mechanical advantage for that. So when I was on the wind farm, that's what we had mechanical advantage. We had the 3M tactile, so we could reach down, hook them up. With
and
the
then
pole,
winch 'em in.
and we could bring them up.
Yeah.
We also had enough rope. We could lower them to the ground,
Yeah.
depending on which one was best way to do it.
And this is a prime example of depending on the construction that's taking place or the scope of work that's taking place. It's dependent on the selection of fault protection equipment that you're using, number one.
Yeah.
And number two, if shit was to hit the fan and this worker is hanging off wherever, how the hell are we going to get to this guy?
Yeah.
We had volunteer firefighters going, I'm not going up there. So
Yeah.
don't worry, we have it. We have the plan. We'll get him to you on the ground so you can take him to the hospital.
Right.
We'll get him to you.
And coming to emergency plans and rescue and stuff like that too. And you know, you got to take a look at what happens if this was a tunnel. And the guy's, 300 meters into a tunnel
You got
and he
one
gets
way in.
How's the ambulance? How are the paramedics going to get in there?
Skateboard, mechanic slide.
Wow.
Right? So you got to kind of think of, if shit is to hit the fan, what is my response going to be? Right? And again, it's easy to write it out. Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. But adrenaline takes over, fear takes over, response, you try to do your best. And only after going through situations like this or being properly trained or, as a medic or military and stuff like that, only then you can actually respond in a calm, cool, collected way, but
But
it takes,
experiencing that for the first time, you're not calm cool.
no, it's like a paramedic shows up to their first car crash. I'm sure their training kicks in, but it's the first time, right? But then you show up to your 100th one, you're like, okay.
You process it much later.
Yeah. It's even being as an MOL inspector and responding to fatalities. I remember my first one, man, I was panicking. I didn't know what to do. You're seeing all kinds of different things. I did, but my first fatality was a lot different than my last fatality. Of
course.
Right? Or my first investigation. And it's just,
Here's a scenario for you guys.
shoot.
How often does the person trying to help the person, let's say he is dangling there, and now the person forgets all the safety requirements to get to that person.
Yeah.
That's part of the problem.
And there's
So that happens, right?
The rescuer becomes part of the rescue scenario now.
Yeah.
Right?
And
That's why you have to train once a year. That's why you have to practice. You have to have competent people. Right? Not all people that have first aid, and I've taught enough courses. Most of the people that I teach, I look at them going, chances are you're going to see blood.
You're gonna pass out.
You're going to pass out. So, and in the course that we teach, there's a lot of investigation pictures that I've taken, and they're not cartoons.
Yep.
They are the real deal. Missing fingers, legs that have been cut off, the whole 9 yards. If you're puking and passing out in my course, you're not the first aider. You're the guy going to go grab me to 911. Now we know where you are,
Yeah.
right? And it's kind of the reason why we teach it the way we teach it is for that specific
You
thing.
have to discover who's who.
It's not so it's to let them know this is what it's really going to look like.
Yeah.
It's not
One thing is a movie. It's another
Yeah,
thing.
a little
it's
taste
not
of
makeup.
reality,
This
man.
is the real deal. Like simple thing, like Buddy gets his thumb cut off with a bandsaw.
Yep.
Right. To me, it's no big deal. If you saw that, or anybody else, there's a good chance. Oh,
Yeah, how they react to it. Yeah, and the crazy thing about construction is, it's not like. Let me rephrase this. The types of fatalities that happen in construction, they're not like.
Oh, they're not pretty.
They can be really messy, man.
struck
Crushed
by,
and chopped this off, and there's crazy shit that happens, man.
I've seen a little bit of blood in situations.
I've seen guys get porcupined.
porcupined.
I don't. What is
Front
that
or
mean?
back?
Worker, fall arrest, rebar.
Oh, it bailed.
Porcupined.
The shish kebab.
I was just watching the uncut version of Rambo: Last Blood.
There you go.
Pretty graphic, man.
Yeah, but it's from a safety professional standpoint. Yeah,
But the point I was bringing up was the worker coming in to help.
Yeah, no.
Has to
Listen,
be aware.
we've had cases where worker gets trapped in the trench, another worker jumps in to try to save them. It was a dad and a son and two brothers. That happened, man.
That's workplace or WorkSafe BC.
No, that one was the sewer where the dad went in. And then the two sons were at the top, and they're like, "Hey, dad." The dad didn't say anything. Then the next son went in. Hey, no answer. Then the next guy went in. All three of them died inside the sewer.
And the apprentice went, "Nope, I'm going to call 911."
Yeah, it was something like that, man.
It was crazy.
But that happened years ago.
It was a barge, but yeah. So
But yeah, people trying to save or trying to respond can also get caught up in the situation, right?
Absolutely. Well, what was that that scaffold collapse or that floor collapse a couple of years back in Hamilton? Buddy was crushed underneath all the scaffolding.
In Hamilton or London?
I can't remember Hamilton or London.
The one that came down, we posted a video on it. The whole thing came down.
Yeah, and Buddy got crushed underneath, and another guy, one of his buddies, went to go save him, and he became a fatality too.
Yeah.
Because he.
But that's instinct of a construction worker.
Sometimes, yeah, but
Unfortunately, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
instinct.
But it's,
you
you know,
want to get to the person.
you want
trying to help,
but you're putting yourself at risk now.
Of course.
exactly, and that's part of the issue. That's why we got to practice.
Of course, but again, the same thing goes to first responders on a construction site, right? Like, the guy gets buried in a trench, the fire department shows up, they're jumping in, they're trying to do this, they're trying to shore it, they're trying to support it. You know, even with the Metron case, when I got there, that's the quadruple fatality where the swing stage opened up. You got the swing stage in two pieces, hanging and just dangling, it was snowing and everything. And you have firefighters and the police officers standing underneath that thing. And it was only being held by a piece of airline cable, the steel cable. And, you know, you're like, the first thing I did was, okay, everyone stop and get out of there. Because that's all you needed was a piece of swing stage to come now crashing down, kill a couple police officers or paramedics or anybody.
Yeah.
Right? We already had 4 dead. We didn't need more. Right? So, yeah, responding to these situations is tricky, man.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah, no worries.
Cherry picker.
So what nonsense is happening over here?
This conversation started with, why would the safety guy want to talk to you? He's driving down
Down the road?
down the road. It hasn't been asphalted yet on a low rise.
Okay.
But his leg straps aren't done up on his harness.
And he's
Right?
driving.
He's driving along. So he's anchored. He's got his lanyard to the anchor point, but the leg straps aren't done up.
So if he falls,
If he gets ejected, he's coming out of that harness.
And there was a fatality at Ontario Place. Oh no, it wasn't an ejection. It flipped over.
It flipped
off the
over. That
tree.
was
Yeah,
rental
it wasn't
company.
that one. But the other fatality. What was that one?
Oh, sorry. And he's got a strap attached to the top guardrail, which is attached to the lanyard.
Nice.
Because you need a little extra length.
What's going on with those wires above there?
Oh, those ones are actually far enough away.
Okay.
And he was coming down the road to get to another
what's
house.
with the board?
Oh, that was a workbench.
Or is that for him to stand on top so he can reach the extra levels?
The worker suggested to me that it was a workbench
That's
for
why
his
he's adding the
tools.
quotes.
Man.
The conversation was, why would the safety guy want to talk to you?
Why do you need a workbench on a moving apparatus that can go where you want to get to? I don't understand why you need a workbench. Oh, you need a step up, but you got a machine that will go.
I give enough rope to hang himself.
Shenanigans, man.
On-site engineering. I get it.
On-site
I
engineering.
like that. On-site
I need an
engineering.
extra 2 inches.
Okay.
What's next on our list here?
Oh,
You're never going to run out of material.
Oh, never. So if you notice the propane bottle with the tiger torch and the worker smoking over top of the confined space.
Wow. Barbecue?
Where's the contravention there?
In the middle of Queens Quay at Lower Jarvis.
They obviously tested the propane for leaks.
Obviously.
Right? And propane's heavier than air.
Yeah.
Well, you know.
But it's the lit cigarette that got my attention.
Man, I posted something like that too. Where was it? They were smoking in a gas station or something like that.
There's methane gas coming out of that sewer, isn't it?
Well, this wasn't my project. I was
You were
down
just
at
driving by.
It was a drive-by.
Yeah. I was at Sugar Beach taking a picture of a lake freighter and saw that and went, oh, that's going to be good. Click.
Fuck.
On-site engineering.
Yeah, that one. Who jerry rigged that thing, man? Look at that death machine, man.
Floor installers. Wood floor installers.
Was that on the floor?
It was on the floor. Actually, no, it's on a 6-foot folding table with a hole cut out so that the sawdust can come down. But it's a skill saw motor and drive.
Oh, that's a makeshift little job
It's
site.
not,
table
yeah,
saw.
That thing's a Frankenstein.
Yeah, he made this on a wing and a prayer. But he had a guard.
He had a guard on the side.
Yeah, he had a blade guard for it
What the hell's the guard for?
to make it look good.
That's scary.
Holy shit.
Yeah. No, I use it all the time.
Whose blade is that? Blue?
Cobalt?
Is it
With a
oh,
K?
Cobalt from Lowe's.
Yeah.
Okay,
Is that
all
what it
right.
says there?
Yeah.
I think he's right. Yeah, that's a cobalt blade.
I don't know, but yeah, you get that sometimes. Some Frankenstein equipment, man. You know, a bit of this and a bit of that, and mix it all together, and now you got this thing.
Yeah.
Ta-da!
The
Perfectly
electrical
good for-
tape up extension.
Because you
But
got to take
what's the rationale behind building something like this? Like, why would you want to build it? Why don't you just go buy the appropriate tool or equipment that you need?
That's the question you had to ask. So why didn't you guys just go get that DeWalt? How come you're not using that DeWalt that's sitting beside you? It doesn't work. Fool this. Then why did you pick up
Portuguese
that?
is getting better.
Why did you pick up that? Like, that makes no sense. Like, that's got to go.
But see, like, you know, man, you get on site and you see this crazy shit.
It's low rise.
And yeah, low rise. I don't know what's going on low rise.
It's a different animal.
It is a different animal. It's a different machine out there, and it's a bunch of cowboys. But, you know, you see these things and you want to help them. You know, you want to help solve some of these problems. You don't want people using stuff like this, right? This machinery equipment. And then you start asking the supervisor questions like, why would you even let this thing on site?
He's
And-
got 500 homes, though. He can't get to every home.
I get it. There's always an excuse. You know, I didn't know. I didn't see. I told him to do it this way. He did it another way. I'm
He
not a
didn't
babysitter.
sign in. He didn't come see me.
Yeah, but even the foreman of this crew, right? The supervisor of this crew.
The owner of the company.
Sure.
Piecework.
It's not like they did not know that this piece of equipment was.
Questionable.
That's scary, man. I could see that's a flooring company.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see a little bit of a kickback and being thrown right across the
Oh,
room.
yeah.
if
Or
you're
the
in
whole
the
thing just like
direction.
shake apart.
It comes down to the Frankenstein thing, you know, take pieces from here, take pieces from there. And, you know, don't get me wrong. I'm all about ingenuity and I'm all about on-site engineering. Sometimes you gotta do it within the parameters, but obviously that's not within the parameters.
Those kinds of saws, they bite.
A little bit.
Yeah, you don't want to get your body parts stuck in there. That's for sure.
Any more?
What, you want to see more
Well, I'm
chaos?
just curious if there's any more.
There's always more.
I think I sent you guys like 8, but I've got like 50.
You know what I'd love to see is I'd love to see the executives breaking all the rules when they get on job sites.
The white collar boys?
Oh, I've had those conversations.
That happens, right?
That should be a social experiment. All the blue collar boys and girls go work in the offices for 2 weeks. We take all the white collars and put them on the job site.
Unfortunately, I think all the blue collars would be sent down to HR.
Oh, HR.
And then all the white collar would be like kicked off the site. Yeah, to the hospital. Yeah.
They'd be locked
the
up.
finger in the first 3 minutes
The
of this
camera
job.
should be panning from them with the shovel experience and then pan right to the paramedics waiting for them on the
They'd
side.
be locked in the blue bomber.
That would be an awesome reality show. I swear to God, sitting in your president's desk with your dirty, muddy boots on the table like this.
I would love to see that.
I would too.
love to
I
see
would pay
that.
money to see that, man. Well, listen, I think, Tim, this is enough stuff in terms of pictures.
Every day is different. You're never not going to see something happening.
There's people that need help, man.
Nothing ever surprises me anymore. As soon as I say, I've never seen that before, something else comes up.
Yeah.
And you're just like,
Yeah.
wow.
What were your thoughts on the King and Spadina?
Oh, so many trucks hitting so many things. Like, how do you not know? Did you disconnect the buzzer that said, dude, your bucket's up? Or the
How do you
forks are
not
up?
know that bucket's up?
I have theories. But
Driver theories?
driver theories, yeah.
It was an accident. Shit happens.
Yeah,
They're
shut
gonna
down
fix
King and
it.
Spadina.
I know, but in
still.
a poorly managed city with the system that we have regarding public transit, you just basically killed an artery that's going to be down for how long
They're
now?
still fixing it now.
No, I
today.
know,
This
it's
is
gonna be a while.
What did they
I know.
say? It was going to take a week or something to fix it or whatever.
Right? I mean, look at how many dump trucks hit bridges.
Yeah.
BC,
that's
have you been following BC, man?
I'm worried about the 401.
What's going on? They're hitting overpasses
It
there?
seems like every other month, a truck driver, a dump truck driver.
You know, speaking about Elon,
Smoking
like,
in
why
the-
can't they friggin' come up with a device or some sort of technology that no truck could be on the road without a warning that something is not engaged correctly?
This has been discussed plenty of years.
It's MTO stuff. That's
Why
federal.
not just like all these vehicles now have to have a warning before you actually take it out of park?
Especially the dumps. The dump
All your
trucks, man.
personal cars, you can't start the engine without putting your foot on the brake. All the new vehicles.
Yeah, the push button ones like mine. Yeah.
You have to have your foot on the brake to engage the motor from starting.
Did I tell you I drive a 2007
No, I
Toyota
get
FJ
it. But
Cruiser?
these dump trucks, all these vehicles, it should be the same thing. You cannot go until there's like a clearance. Or like pilots with airplanes, they walk around the plane to make sure that everything's there.
You would definitely.
Before you take off, you walk around.
That's
Get out of your cab
idea.
and walk around.
Bro, but you're not allowed to wear sandals on the job site.
Ma.
Crocs okay?
Crocs are
They're
good.
steel toe Crocs.
You just make
They've got the
them.
vibrant.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But it's true, man. They definitely should put in some type of safety device that disengages the vehicle until the cab is, the bed of the truck is down, or the.
I think you got to
dump
get out of the cab and walk around before you take
You
off.
should, but then you're relying on human error. You know, and sometimes you got to rely on human, and you also got to rely on the technology component of
It's
it.
last minute itis. I gotta get this truck out of here.
Yeah, bro, these dump trucks move. They're in.
No,
They're out,
they're
this,
only
they're
making
that.
money when they move.
Yeah.
Right?
I get it. But if you hit something, that dump truck ain't moving.
Right.
No, but it's the risk a lot of people are willing to take, unfortunately. Right?
So that's where we come in handy. We try to educate and
Of course.
try to change it, try to make it better.
It's definitely challenging being a safety professional. You know, you're dealing with the human element, the psychology element. You're dealing with the production element. You're dealing with the employer element, whether they're invested in safety or whether they give a shit or whether they don't. You know, and you ask them, they always give a shit. But, you know, the proof is in the pudding.
Yeah, and the difference between corporate safety and safety consulting is we're there once a week.
It's true.
So, you know, whose interest do they think we have in, right? Is it the interest of the worker, interest of our client?
Yeah.
Right? And you got the corporate safety guys that work for the big construction companies. That's their job. They're on site for like 3, 4, 5 years, right? There's definitely complacency in there, but they look at safety differently than you or I would as coming in fresh from, you know, I do a high rise one day and I'm doing low rise the next, then I'm going to a cookie factory.
Yeah, no,
Right? So-
experience
right?
and versatility and, you know, the ability to jump into any of these scenarios and still manage and navigate it. That's definitely one of the hallmarks of a good safety professional. You know what I mean? But
What's the best way to communicate to workers?
I wish I could use a paint gun, but
That's a good one. I like that one.
your
Just show up
attention.
on site and tum, 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 tum.
listen, you have to read your audience.
yeah,
It's very important. You have to understand your audience. You know what I mean?
That's
If-
what I mean. So you got to
if we
communicate with them, as you said at the very beginning. You got to be on their level.
well, like
You do.
the video I watched from you guys that I saw yesterday. You guys are the Portuguese guy.
Yeah.
You're the supervisor. 2 days, and Manuelis and all that. I've had that conversation.
Really?
I've had that.
That
as an
conversation
investigator.
may be one of the most frequent conversations that happen in construction.
It's amazing how many guys don't speak no English when they're in trouble.
Yeah, when it comes to the safety guy, I know speaker.
Right? So I'm learning
And then
Spanish
the
just to get
following
around
weekend, he's reading Charles Dickens.
that. Exactly.
Out of all the authors to pick.
Tis the
It was a
season.
cold, bleak.
You don't even know the
Dane
phrase.
Win Whitby.
Once upon a time.
Every story starts that, but it goes to it was a cold. But I get what you're saying. Like I'm trying to figure out, how do we speak to these people so they're not
These people are us,
they're not
man.
in fear. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
listen, especially with training, and Tim can speak to this. I'm sure he does a lot more training than I do. You know, you have to read your audience, man, and you have to relate. You have to be relatable. You know, and I think this is where safety also misses the mark sometimes. Oh, safety is important for the benefit of blah 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 blah, and you're already falling asleep in the class.
Yeah.
Right? You gotta spice things up, man. You gotta make sure people don't fall asleep. You gotta be relatable. Tell some stories. Tell us about your adventures. I don't know.
That's why I don't teach first aid anymore. Because all the stories that are part of the course that I teach,
Nobody likes them.
well, no, they're my stories, and I
Nobody
hate,
wants to hear
I
those
hate to use the
stories,
word PTSD, right? But I get re-traumatized every time I tell these stories.
Yeah, well,
Because these are things that actually happened to me, but it gets the point across. But yeah, it's like we were talking on the phone the other day, and the fact that, you know, we can speak in crayon, right? We can speak in construction. We can speak in at the workers level. If you can explain to them in a way that they understand, not just language, but using terminology that they can understand.
For sure.
Now you've got mutual respect, and you know, like I have several different characters that I play on a daily basis. That safety guy is a complete made up character, that safety guy also got me working with the Ministry for Labor in Grenada in the West Indies.
Yeah, I saw that, man. That
Right?
was pretty cool.
Right? So that's a different character. When I'm talking to the owner of a company, I'm a completely different character. Yes, sir. No, sir. I'm using different verbiage. I'm using different sentences.
You're reading the person.
Right. If I'm talking to a worker, be it a carpenter or a forming carpenter, right? I'm talking to them at their level because luckily I personally have that experience. I've done that job. I've swung that hammer, right? So it's, but
You
it's
definitely got
to
be a bit of a chameleon and wear a few different hats in this business, especially if you're going from a boardroom to a job site. So there's different. Even with this podcast, Philip, maybe you shouldn't swear, and Philip, maybe you shouldn't say this, because these are safety people that come from boardrooms. And I go, I get it, man, but like a majority of the people that follow and watch, we gotta swear a bit, man, because this is reality.
If you use dumb fuckery and spell it with a PH,
Boys, Tim, anything else you want to add on top of that dumb fuckery?
I just want to say a couple of things. Is what's really scary, and I think that everybody who's listening, or everybody's on a job site, is that all of these stories that you guys share, they're from fact.
they really happen to us.
You guys
We witnessed
didn't
it.
make them up.
No.
They're all from fact. Scenarios that it's not what if this is going to happen. It's like what has happened.
Yeah, I like I said, man, this is all just odds and probability. If you're in construction
Yeah.
long enough, chances are as an employer, you're gonna have an injury on your job site.
So maybe everybody that's a worker on site, like you said at the very beginning here, you said, how can we do that safely?
Yeah, that's
Every
why we had
scenario
toolbox
you walk
talks. That's
into.
we,
How do I go to the party safely?
Hey, but listen, there's a danger here, and I just want to put this out too. There's a danger too of too much safety, too much
Yes.
bureaucracy, too
Yes.
much red tape, too much bullshit.
Yes.
I'm a strong believer in common sense, and I also know that common sense isn't that common, But I don't need a procedure on how to tie my shoelaces.
No.
I don't need that. Oh, shoelaces are. If you don't adequately tie your shoes, you may trip and
No.
die. No, man. Like, come on. I call it bubble wrap safety, where let's wrap you completely in bubble wrap and make sure you never get a splinter. I don't. Construction
I
is
agree.
risky, man.
Yeah, I agree.
It's dangerous, and the only job that we got to do is make sure that we do this dangerous job as safely as possible and as cautious as possible.
and
that's,
you know what? And nowhere in the green book does it say the safety guy shall. But I explain it this way: I'm the hair on the back of your neck that stands up. I'm that voice in the back of your head that says maybe I shouldn't do that.
Yeah, man.
I'll call you out for it, and we'll have that conversation.
We like to be part of the team. So
Yeah.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, gentlemen.
No,
This is
Tim,
It
awesome.
was a
Thanks,
blast, man.
man.
Come back anytime.
Hopefully, I don't get fired. And
No, listen, we haven't got fired
I'm
yet. so
pretty
we're
sure
good.
there's going to be another position
Yeah,
available
but you own the
anywhere.
business.
Hey, good guys always get good jobs, man. You'll be fine.
You might get a medal.
But your team is a good team, and the guys that you work for,
Awesome team.
great guys, and shout out to them. And hopefully we'll have him on the show soon, and he can tell us. I think he wants to come and talk about ISO.
I just
Yes.
realized cobalt.
Yeah, with a K.
1 plus 1 is 2,
Cobalt with a
man.
K. Yeah, I get it.
But yeah, hopefully we have him on the show and he can talk about ISO and stuff like that.
ISO and core, yeah, that's a hot button topic for him.
It shouldn't be, but it is.
Which one is better?
No.
We're not
Save
going to
it
get
for
into
another
that. Yeah,
show?
that's another
I'm
show.
Just save
Merry
it for another show.
Christmas.
Don't
Happy
Tune into
New
the
Year.
next one where we'll be talking about those letters.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Oh my god. It's this is level 7 and above safety.
Really?
Because
Really, yeah.
80% of the employers in construction in Ontario have nothing to do with ISO or core.
Boots and suits, that's definitely
Is this
suits.
like Warriors or something like that? What's going on here? Is this different gangs or what's going on here?
Yeah, man, there's different teams.
That's what it
Different
is?
Crips versus Bloods,
Yep.
apparently.
Yep. Yep.
Well, we'll get into that one, man.
Oh, you got to watch it on LinkedIn, man. It's hilarious.
Thanks very much, Tim. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Tim.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Phil, for bringing
gentlemen.
him in. And always come back. Seriously, whenever
All
you're
right.
ready, man. Come back.
Perfect. I'd love
That's
to.
it.
Take
We're
care,
outta here.
boys. Ciao.
You're listening to Safety Corner, powered by TCL and S1. For workers, by workers. Online and in-person health and safety programs and training available in 10 plus languages. Reach out to them at www.mys1.ca and DM them at my_S1 for more information.